you today. And today we've got a very, very special guest because, we talk about business feng shui, and a lot of the time when we talk about this, we think about corporate really. Even we think about retail, feng shui, and actually, that kind of environment, or moving things or adding things for people feeling into it. But today we have Jillian with us, and I'm not going to say your second word because we're in French, it's just, you're going to have to say it yourself. Come
It's
on.
okay. My name is Jillian Rothschild-Scholar with Feng Shui in Motion.
There we go. And so where are you based, Jillian?
I am based in Phoenix, Arizona.
Excellent. And you lucky girl have just come back from holiday, haven't you?
Yes. We got vaccinated and we broke away to the ocean. So I'm rejuvenated and I'm ready to get to work.
Excellent. And so it's lovely to have you here today. And so well, tell us, what is the story behind, how did you find Feng Shui, or how did Feng Shui find you, more like it?
Well, I mean, the short version of my story is that I was a little bit of a weird kid. I was kind of into tarot cards and horoscopes and sort of anything that I could get my hands on. I was born and raised in Ohio, which was a little bit parochial and sort of conservative. And so it was a little bit unusual to be into those kinds of things. And so as I went away to college and I began my young adulthood, I started to really consume anything I could around self-help and development and expanding my skill set. So I got into Reiki and I started a career, right? So I was in a corporate environment. I was in college admissions counseling for 20 years, helping people go to college. So one of the things that I'm like super proud of is I have students from all over who are doing a wide variety of different things with their lives, like getting married and building careers and getting famous. And it's adorable to watch. So I that was in corporate environment for a really long time. And one of the things that happened was in one of the companies I was working for, things were going really well. I had a great relationship. They moved me from the one office to here to Phoenix, Arizona. And I moved into this house. We'd moved around a lot. I'd been into Feng Shui. I'd read some books. And very quickly after we moved into this house, the relationship fell apart with the company. Things just went south very fast. And I kind of didn't understand what was happening. Like I was looking around like, what? Everything was going so well. And we moved into this house and what's going on? And so after the dust settled, I kind of was like, I think I need to call somebody for Feng Shui because maybe it's the house because everything was great until we moved to this house. So I called my who ended up being my first teacher, a practitioner, and she came and she said, do these things. And I did them and things started to get better. And I was like, this is great. Like if my life can get better by doing these things, I really want to learn this. And so I started studying and getting with teachers and practicing. And as I'm having a day job, right, I still have a day job for many years. I'm like studying and practicing and building and learning and testing and trying things. And this path led me to classical feng shui, which is what I'm doing now. So now I practice classical feng shui for residential and business spaces. I also work with Chinese astrology, which is called 4 Pillars of Destiny. So I read people's Chinese astrology charts. I work with divination systems like the I Ching and Qi Men Dun Jia to answer questions when you're sort of feeling like unclear and you need to find out what's going on. Divination can be really helpful. I make personal calendars for my clients. And as I'm doing all these things, still in this job, I can see what's coming down the pipeline. I'm using all these systems. My feng shui is good. Everything is going great, but I can see that there's a change coming.
Oh, wow.
And as if on cue, the whole building got laid off, the building that I was working in. It wasn't like I got, I lost my job. Everybody lost their job, which was, terrible for a lot of people. People are crying, they're really upset. And I was like, it's my day. I get to go do my feng shui.
Brilliant.
Everyone was like so upset. And I was like, here's my badge. Like, I'm out of here. It was great. And so I've been doing feng shui full time since then.
Wow. And so when was that then?
That was 2019.
Wow, that's so cool.
It was, for me, it was, I saw it coming and I was very prepared. Like I had done coaching and I'd worked with, and like the best advice I got was like, don't leave your day job. And I was going to stay. Like I had talked myself into like the money was really good. Things were going really well. Like we were thriving. I mean, I'm married and like we were just, that job paid me a lot of money. I did really well. Feng Shui was good. And so I was going to stay, but the universe had other plans. And so
I
I just was like,
know.
I'll just go with that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Somebody else had another plan for you.
Right. Right. So
But
what's nice about business Feng Shui is I tested a lot of what I tell my clients while I was in that corporate environment.
of course.
So I can say with a lot of conviction, like, if you do this, this will happen.
Mm. So do you work with a lot more smaller kind of businesses?
Yeah.
Any particular industry, or is it just maybe businesses who kind of things aren't going right, perhaps like you when you moved into the house and just they're kind of swimming upstream, sometimes when you're small businesses, that's a real kind of, oh, why aren't things thriving?
Why isn't it getting better? I'm doing everything I can. I've
Yeah.
brought in all these resources. Like, why isn't it happening? A lot of my clients, when I look at my client base, a lot of my clients are a little intuitive. They cannot put their finger on it. There's something just feels off. They feel it in their bones, like things can get better, or they might have some kind of like idea, or they might be getting a message or hearing something. A lot of my clients are extremely ambitious. So they're meditating. They're doing the mental and emotional work around being productive. They're working with intention. They're wanting to create their lives. They're living their passion, and they're wanting to have an easier path to the things that are important to them, and feeling like they're blocked. And then they're like, well, who do I go to? What do I do about this? And maybe they've heard about Feng Shui. So a lot of my clients come by referral. Like, the bulk of my client base comes through referral. So they know somebody who worked with me who had good results, and it's like a secret sauce. So sometimes people don't want to talk about what they're doing because they want to keep it for themselves.
Yeah,
And so
secret. It's worked for me. I don't want to tell anybody.
right. I don't want to tell anybody else because I don't want but the truth is there's abundance for everybody. Right. So then when they feel like they can share, like I have this amazing client who I worked with for years because he was in a relationship issue. He had a small business. He had read a bunch of books about Feng Shui, couldn't figure out what to do, had just gotten divorced. And I had been working with him over the years. And as he had shifted his life, he started dating. And one day this client of mine called me and said, hi, I met this guy. And so these are my two clients that met each other on a date. And I was like,
Oh, brilliant.
clearly your Feng Shui is working. And I was in this weird place. Like, she called me and, I knew him, and, she was like, tell me about him. And I was like, I can't because it's confidential. And no, but you can tell me. No, I really can't tell you about him. It was adorable. So
Wow.
when these synchronicities, when you get into the slipstream, like these synchronicities happen, but the kind of businesses that I typically work with are small businesses, sometimes people working from home, solopreneurs, or people who have maybe one or two employees, or people who have a small physical space, a handful of employees, maybe a franchise or two, and they're looking to, I don't like the word upscale because I feel like that's a little bit of an outdated term, but they're looking to sort of get into an energetic stream where, although there may be challenges, there may be obstacles, there are answers, there's solutions, they can get through things faster, they can get from point A to point B faster, they can accelerate their results.
Yes.
So they can feel a little bit more satisfied, a little bit more free. They can have the well-being, the abundance, the love, the happiness, the things that they want because they're in a physical environment where the energy is supporting them so they can achieve what they want easier.
And sometimes this is it, isn't it? It's like that glass ceiling. And I know for quite a few years I've been saying that word myself. You get to that point when you're in your business and you kind of go and then you kind of plateau, don't you? And you're like, it's kind of, where am I going next? And until actually you've got that hum for somebody kind of give you that hum to either maybe it's time to move, maybe it's time to kind of change something, tweak something, or get that push for somebody else. You kind of, where's that glass ceiling? Why am I not going further? And that's the work that you do, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons I use Chinese astrology, because you had mentioned timing. So when I look at someone's personal 4 pillars of destiny, which is based on when you're born, you can really see patterns of the right timing. So a lot of times I will look at someone's chart and I will go, the reason that I am working with you is because you have these things in your chart and I have these things in my chart. And I'm here to support you, help bring you balance and help get into alignment in your space because this is, my role. And by knowing what's in your chart or what's not in your chart, I can help you get into balance and harmony with what is needed. And so timing is often important. It can indicate if a move is correctly timed, if it's a good time to sell or buy, if it's a good time to bring in extra help, if it's a good time to study something, if you may have a health issue coming forward or something has come up to the surface that you need to address. All of these things can be seen at a high level in Chinese astrology. And then when you put it together with the physical space, that's two pieces, right? So there's two parts. And then when you put it together with the right timing in addition to that, so like the physical environment with the Feng Shui, the person's energy, and then the timing, then everything just kind of lights up. It's like a circuit, all lights up.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting you were saying about that couple who were kind of knew each other, or you knew both of them. But working when I do teamwork and communication skills, and you kind of do those exercises on profiling and showing them how we all have different profile and how we behave differently because we are more one element or the other. And actually suddenly there's that click in the eye. So I guess with the astrology, it goes a lot deeper as well, and that could be an amazing tool to recruitment part of it.
Oh, for sure.
That could be a really good way to kind of really make sure that you're recruiting the right people.
I have a colleague in Russia who I met. I have a lot of friends all over the world. I have this amazing client in Russia who 4 Pillars of Destiny is like his jam. It's what he does. He's super good at it. He's trained for dozens of years. And at his company, every time they hire somebody, he will look at their chart. Right. I mean, the rules for getting someone's birthday is different in Russia than here in America, right? So it's harder to be like, can I have your birthday? Like typically that's not allowed. So that is a little bit more challenging. However, it certainly, there are ways to get that information, right? And so it is a service that I do provide for my clients. If they're looking to hire somebody and they can provide me with some basic birthday information, I can look at the chart and indicate whether or not this person is going to have the innate skill set to give you what you need. Like this person may not have money in their chart, and so they're not going to be able to bring you money in your business. This person may not be very outgoing. They might be showing a great face in the interview, but they might not innately be outgoing. And if you need someone to do sales, it's not going to help you. No. So it's a very useful tool.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. Very cool. And, it works for all. So that do you, obviously there's the 3 luck in Feng Shui, isn't it?
Right. So, heaven luck.
Yeah.
Man luck, earth luck. Yeah.
Okay. So you work a lot with that heaven luck.
No. Well, I'm analyzing it, right? I can't do anything about it. You're born. Right. You cannot crawl back in your mother's womb and be born at a different time. But I can say, this is what you were born with, right? And your man luck is your free will, the choices that you make. And then the Feng Shui is the earth luck, so the environment that you're in. So you really have the ability to control about 2/3 of your choices in your environment. And then your destiny is what it is. It's really your fate. Destiny is what you choose, right? So fate is what happens. And then destiny is what you choose.
Oh, it's so cool. So interesting.
That's why you need to bring them together. That's, in my experience, we need to bring them together.
And that's what it's all about. That's why I guess, adding that work of the astrology and the numbers, it's add to that, the third part of it. I guess I do a little bit of 9-star key. And so I would kind of do the little work, but I don't go into the big kind of work like you do.
Yeah. 9-star key is really interesting. It was one of the first systems I got introduced to. Like my first teacher who came to my very first Feng Shui counselor, like she became my teacher. And I got a lot of information in her training, and one of them was 9-star key. Mm-hmm. And the truth is there's lots of different divination systems and resources out there. 9-star key is wonderful, one of them. And what's nice is everybody will sort of click with one thing or another, right? So if you're clicking with 9-star key, awesome. If I'm clicking with Chi-Men, great. I have another practitioner who I mentor, because I do mentor other practitioners, and her jam is the I Ching. And it's like, go do I Ching readings.
Wow.
Because I connected with. So having that extra resource makes a consultation more holistic instead of just looking at one piece.
Yeah, I think, and it's, so how do you start a consultation actually with a small business? Do you go and actually assess them a little bit and then you get into the work? How do you start?
Everything I start with starts with a discovery session, actually. So before we even agree to work together,
Right, yeah.
like I am spending quite a bit of time doing a discovery session and talk about what's working, what's not working, what you've tried, what your goals are. It's pretty broad and it's deep. It gives us a chance to get to know each other and for a client to share what's really going on in a safe place that we can discuss it. And then from there, I can make a recommendation about what I feel like is needed, right? So if you were hiring somebody to build you a table like a carpenter, you wouldn't expect your carpenter to only come with a saw. You want them to come with a hammer and nails and a glue gun and a level and all of their tools, right? So that's part of my role is after a discovery session to say, these are all my tools and this is what I'm going to recommend to help you get where you want to go. And if we agree that there's a fit, we think that, we want to move forward, then we talk about how to move forward.
Mm.
With businesses, my experience is that it's not just the business space, it's also the home, because the spaces are cumulative for a person's energy based on what they own and what they control.
Right.
So
interesting.
In almost always, and I've only deviated from this a handful of times based on what the client is willing to do, I almost always start with the house, because typically there's the issues almost always in the house and it mirrors in the business, which is really interesting.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we will start with the house and we'll see what's going on there and get them into good energy in the house and then go into the business space if there's a separate physical space.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it could just be a home office that needs to be addressed. But I want to start with the house because I want to know what's going on.
And obviously it's a reflection of who they are. So, yes, the mirroring of one place and another would certainly be similar. If not, there'd be a real problem there, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes people will say, like, I'll ask people who have moved a lot, like, what happened in this house? What happened in this house? What happened in this house? And there's usually a pattern. They're attracted to this sort of the same kind of structure or the same kind of issue because they don't know how to get out of it. And so they just sort of repeat the same thing until we identify what the issue is and then go, well, I know you're attracted to this, but you need this.
Mm.
So sometimes people will say, I want this, but my job as practitioner is to give you what you need, right? If someone says, I want to have a baby, but you're a drug addict, we have to get you you cannot be on, well, you can do whatever you want, but let's not have you on drugs in order to have a baby, right?
Yeah.
So let's give you what you need in order to get you closer to what you want. And it takes time. Feng Shui, in my experience in the work that I do, it is not a one-time event. So I work with my clients on a yearly basis. We will get the foundation started. We'll evaluate how the foundation goes. Mm-hmm. Then as the energy changes and moves each year, we'll evaluate the next year and the next year. And then we sort of get closer. It's never ending. It never changes. We just have to adapt to how the energy moves each year so that we can stay in that slipstream.
Mm. And I guess it becomes a lifestyle more than anything, really. I think in the beginning when you're really new about it and you get a bit intrigued and you get into it and you move a few things or you learn a few things, but then the more you do it and the more it's just common sense. It's just natural. It feels,
because it feels good, right? When our environment has harmony and balance, it lends support to our lives. And so we know when things don't feel good, right? And so then you're going to avoid feeling crappy. You'll do anything to avoid feeling crappy. This is why the health wellness industry is so huge, because we want to, not only do we want to live a long life, we want to live a high quality life. So Feng Shui is a great tool to enhance that. This is why the ancients, people in Asia have been doing this for thousands of years. It's newer to us, right? Because it's not part of our culture, but to them, it's just part of what you do.
Yeah. And it's been, I guess it's been such a huge, the pandemic has brought so much changes in everybody and everybody's homes and businesses suddenly, and homes becoming businesses suddenly, and all that kind of changes have been a huge impact on everybody and the mental health. has been, and a lot of people perhaps haven't realized how much affected they've been by it. And now things are kind of settling down, is that the word, or moving forward. Perhaps now there's going to be even more pressure on actually making sure that your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health are all good, and not just what everything kind of comes out with about it now.
Yes. Yes. And we're talking about a holistic way of life. I think that many people, especially here in the United States, where capitalism sort of reigns supreme and having to push yourself and work hard all the time and be in a corporate environment or climb the ladder, make the big boss money, then all of a sudden you're working from home and you've got families and other priorities and things that need to be balanced. That is likely going to shift, because now people are not going to want to go back into their corporate offices. They figured out how to make it work with their family, and they know they can work from home. As somebody who worked in a corporate environment for years and begged to work from home, begged, please, I can do this from home. I do not need to listen to these 20 people over here. I can do I am self-focused. I can do this. Begged. Now these people are going to be like, I don't need to work. I don't need to go back to the office. You can monitor me from here. So hopefully there will be we had this sort of correction, right? We had this massive situation where we had to go to one extreme. I don't think there'll be another extreme correction. I think there'll be someplace in the middle, and it's going to take time. It'll probably be another year or so. My estimation is that, unfortunately, the pandemic is not over. I think that we need to get into next year before we start to see some real relief. I'm a little bit concerned about what's going to happen in the fall. I think that, and we don't need to talk about that. I have some opinions about that.
Yeah, I guess some countries have been are better than others. So, when you see what's going on in India, and, they're nowhere as good place as what things seem to be in more the east part of the world. And again, in terms of business, economically, it's got a huge impact. It's going to have a huge impact on businesses, on everything around it, isn't it?
Yeah, because some people may be relying on supply chain from the Middle East or from Asia, and where they can't get products or things can't get moving, and they may need to pivot or adapt, and they're looking for resources to help them. So there are businesses who did really, really well last year and this year in the pandemic, right? Their people made money. Just because somebody lost their job, or maybe in a different kind of environment with their business, maybe things took a little bit of a turn, doesn't mean that you cannot turn it around. You absolutely can. You just need some support to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, totally. It's brilliant. I'm so pleased to hear that when you work with somebody, you actually work for a full year as well, because a lot of the time people just want that magic wand, isn't it? But then the magic wand happen, loads of little things happen, but then it kind of goes back, because you're not got that support, and you've not got that kind of thinking about doing it. So having somebody working with you for the whole year, it's a much better way to do it, isn't it?
Sure. And the energy will change the next year and the next year. So I work with all my clients, we do an annual update. So we'll get the foundation done. We'll see how it goes. We'll let the energy settle. We'll get you into a slipstream. We evaluate throughout the year. If there are questions or issues, of course, there's support available. And then the next year, when the energy shifts, we need to adapt to that energy. And so we work together on a yearly basis, because your goals change year to year, right? Once you get from point A to B, then you're like, oh, well, maybe I can have this. So then you want to go on to the next thing. So things may change. You may get into a relationship. You might end a relationship. You might expand your business. You might you might want to change your branding or change your marketing, or maybe you want to step down from business. Maybe you've been working for 40 years and you're like, I just need a break, and you need to know who you can count on. And so Feng Shui can help with all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, totally. And so do you have groups as well? So you do training, you do mentoring as well for people. Do you have a group where people, if they want to connect with you, or if they want to know more, or if they want to how do you have like a mastermind group, or what else do you have around?
Well, apparently I need to do that because you're like the third person in the last couple
All
of
right.
weeks to tell me, like, the universe is saying it loud and clear, like, let's go. No, actually, I don't. The bulk of the work that I do is one-on-one individual client work, small businesses. Of course, I have a website. The website is FS in Motion, for Feng Shui in Motion. So it's fsinmotion.com. I am also on Instagram and LinkedIn.
Okay.
I do teach, so I run some classes. So if people are interested in learning about Feng Shui, I teach a class on Feng Shui and Four Pillars of Destiny, which I ran through the pandemic. It's all online, so you don't have to. Now, it's not like now you have to fly to a foreign country to get the information. You can just sit at home and learn and come out of the pandemic with great new information or a new skill set. And of course, I do speaking on conferences. So I'll actually be speaking at a conference remote conference here in June for a conference in England, and seminars and workshops. Like, I also do retreats. Like, people who have vacation rentals will call me and have me audit their vacation rentals. But sometimes it's like a retreat. It's like, we want to do a women's spiritual retreat, and will you come and do a session? And so, like, of course I'll do that.
Yeah.
But the bulk of the work that I do is one-on-one.
Yeah, that's really cool. I haven't thought about that. I need to kind of put it somewhere in my maybe helpful people, or add a few things somewhere. Just let a few retreats work. That would be quite cool.
You want to send me to Fiji to do a retreat? Sure, I'll be happy to go to Fiji. Spain, you want to retreat? I'm going. Italy, cool. We can go to Tuscany. I can teach Batsa wherever you want. You want to learn Chinese astrology? I'm your woman. Like, you want to talk about the feng shui of the land in Europe? Let's do South America. Let's do it.
Brilliant. We're always happy to help, don't we? Always happy to share some feng shui love.
Yes, yes. There's so much to learn. And when you're retreating, it's nice because you can just immerse yourself in it. And in a beautiful environment. A lot. And over the years, I've spent a lot of money going to a lot of different places. And the way that people have done it has been like, let's go to a hotel, let's go to a conference room, and I'll teach you, for 5 or 6 days. And it's really taxing. It's extremely hard. Or something even more in depth. Like, I spent a year and a half doing private mentoring with my teacher, which is really the way to get classical feng shui knowledge, is to get it orally transmitted so you can get into the lineage. And that is really challenging. But if you're somebody who has a thirst for knowledge and you're interested in these topics, and retreating is a great way to do it.
Yeah, excellent. Well, so people, you know who to ask to go on holiday, and I'll come as a second package. You can
come on in. We can work together. I'm sure that you have a skill set that we can package together. That's no problem.
That sounds like a plan. That really sounds like a plan, Jillian. Well, thank you so much. It was just so beautiful to speak to you, and thank you for sharing. So I will add the link to under that video, so people can just come and check you out. And you've got loads of things on your website. Also, you've got a lot of things with the BASI calculator and that kind of things, haven't you? So people can actually go and kind of start playing with it.
Yeah. Like, you go to the Chinese restaurant and you look at the placemat and you're like, oh, I was born in the year of the tiger. Oh, and it says all these things about your character. And you're like, oh, sort of right. Not quite right. The 4 Pillars of Destiny actually will calculate all of your birthday information and give you much more interesting information. And when you know how to read it, you can tell a lot about someone. I found that when I started reading 4 Pillars of Destiny, which is known as Batsa, it's Ba meaning 8, Za meaning characters. So it's a BASI calculator, which is what you'll search for on the internet. When you start reading and understanding the interpretation of it, you really get to understand people and appreciate them for who they are, because it just tells you everybody is completely unique, and you can really value someone for the skills that they have, the things that make them unique, the things that make them special, their gifts and talents. Yeah. I mean, not everybody's into feng shui, but I'm also not a librarian, and I'm not a bookkeeper, and I'm not constructing houses, and I'm certainly not a lawyer. Like, there are things that make people unique and make them gifted, and we just appreciate them for who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we are all here for a purpose, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're all here. So also helping people to find that purpose and making them feel that they're on the right path is this is part of it, really. Once you feel good, your whole life transformed, doesn't it? Once you
Yeah.
really are on your path, your whole life transforms.
It's just beautiful for yourself, right? Even if all you do is learn to read your own chart, just to know yourself better, to walk through life more confidently, to know that the things that happened in your past happened at the timing for some reason or another. And then when you encounter that energy again, you know how to deal with it differently. The things that happened in our past are always going to stay with us, right? Whether we have emotional triggers or not is another story, but everything that we've gone through will influence our future. And if you understand what happened, or what that pattern of energy looks like when you encounter it again, you can encounter it differently. You don't always have to get the same result. If you do the same thing all the time, you're always going to get the same result.
Yeah.
But reading your own chart helps you know yourself better and love yourself more, be more confident, be more empowered.
Yeah.
That way you're not just looking at your physical environment, you're also looking at your own human, your human environment too. So interesting.
Yeah, state of being. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Continue to watch the videos. There's loads more interviews and lots of tips as well. So, subscribe on the channel and all that kind of juicy stuff. If you have any questions, please, just message us, message Jillian, message me. And if you want to get in touch, please do so. And share some Shui loves around you and learn, discover, be intrigued, ask questions. That's what it's all about. Thank you, Jillian, for coming. It was amazing to see you.
Thank you.
See you very soon. Bye, everybody. Bye.